Welcome, everyone. It is the conclusion, the thrilling conclusion, I hope, of week 7 for fantasy football. We got a Monday night game in just a couple of hours. The 49ers and the Vikings. You might have some games on the line. There's still some players kind of up in the air, although we do have clarity, thankfully, on some of the 49ers. But if you have some last minute start sit questions, we're here for that. Help you answer. Also, some early week 8 questions. It's never too early to set your lineup ahead of time. And of course, you want to know who to pick up on waivers. So ask your questions, ask away, and we will do our best to answer. We already got a lot of people lined up and ready, been here for a while. So we'll get to your questions as soon as we can. Hopefully, everyone had some good success. I will say I don't think it was disappointing because there were a lot of points scored, and there were definitely some big games. Not always from the people we expected,
Right.
but I mean that's pretty normal, right?
I was gonna say there were some big games, or like games we didn't expect. Like who on their bingo card had Cleveland versus the Colts as the highest scoring game of the week, right? One of the games we figured would probably be one of the lowest scoring games, ended up being one of the highest scoring games. But it didn't feel as bad as week 6. Like it definitely felt like there were more fantasy points scored, or it certainly seemed like more touchdowns scored this week. So yeah, and we didn't have a brutal. Certainly had some injuries. We always have injuries, but it wasn't as brutal as the previous 2 weeks. That's for sure.
Yes, definitely. This week was a lot more satisfying than last week. Yeah, it was good. I mean, there's always surprises. That's the NFL. And I mean, like
Right.
the Patriots actually winning a game, and some teams that just decided to show up and win, and then like the Lions deciding we'll just take the day off. We don't need to play football today. Just getting stomped. I mean, that's kind of like a bring down to earth type of game. I mean, the Lions, sorry, they're not a 6-1 caliber team. They're a good team, but they're not like a number 1 seed type of team. So I think they were due for a game like this. It was a road game against a good team. So I'm not surprised they lost at all. Just surprised that they didn't even like put up a fight in the first half. Made Baltimore look better than they really are, I think.
Yeah, I mean, probably a combination of both. Plus, I think we saw the real road Jared Goff this week. Remember last week he had a nice game. One of the touchdowns was like Amon-Ra St. Brown going like 25 yards, pretty much all by himself on a little nothing pass, and the other one was just like a heave down to Jameson Williams for the touchdown. So I think this week we just didn't, see those.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we weren't feeling, too great about the lines, but yeah, I did not see that come. But you know what? Even at the end, because garbage time still matters. St. Brown still got you a lot of points. Jahmyr Gibbs actually had a good fantasy day, even if it
Yep.
all came in the fourth quarter. Most of it.
Yeah. Please sell high on Jahmyr Gibbs. Wherever I have Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm trying to trade him. Like, okay, feel good that you got those fantasy points. You might look, maybe you can roll him out again this week because it is a good matchup. So maybe if you don't want to trade him yet, you can roll him out this week because Montgomery probably won't play. Then they go on their bye. Then Montgomery is back, who we know is clearly the guy. Dan Campbell's not going to like just, oh, Jahmyr Gibbs was so good. Because let's be real, Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't really that good. They weren't even really using him until garbage time. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, like, yeah, look, I drafted Jahmyr Gibbs in a couple leagues. I enjoyed the points he got me this week. I'm going to enjoy the points he gets me next week. And then I'm going to do everything I can to trade him when people are like, hey, it's going to happen for him.
It's true. And everyone loves a rookie running back. And this is the time. I think this is the sell high window is
Yes.
now at its peak. You're going to get one more game where he's the guy, right? And it should be a better game than last week. I mean, it can't be worse in terms of how the Lions performed. And I get it. Look, they were down early and they were down big early and they were losing the entire game. So they couldn't establish a running game and,
Right.
they had to pass it a ton. Of course, that makes sense. But are we sure that he's just going to get the ball a ton, even if it's neutral or positive game script? I think I'm not convinced because
No.
that didn't happen last time. But I do agree that maybe you should wait one more week because they get the Raiders this coming
Right.
week. So,
I mean, this is 3 weeks in a row. Like the Raiders made A.J. Dillon fantasy relevant. They brought Ramondre Stevenson back from the dead. And then they just got destroyed by Deontay Foreman, who basically didn't do anything until 2 weeks ago. Like, yeah, you might maybe wait till after this week. Roll them out again against the Raiders. Then before the team goes on the bye, take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Foreman because he's a guy, obviously, will be picked up everywhere. He wasn't already picked up. So he was the one guy that if you picked up a running back off waiver wire was actually worth it. And not only that, but maybe saved your fantasy day if you started him because of the touchdowns. But Rashawn Johnson sounds like he might be back. So let's just throw this out there. I know we'll do, more detailed waiver wire talk tomorrow, but early gut reaction in terms of Foreman, how strongly you feel he's worth a fab bid this week? Because, is this fool's gold?
It's certainly fool's gold. And look, I was very confident in Foreman this week on our Saturday and Sunday streams. Once we knew Rashawn was out, I was telling a lot of people to start Foreman. Like if you asked Foreman and the other options weren't great, I was pretty much saying Foreman every single time. But so I'm like, did I expect three? No, I didn't expect this game, of course. No, like no one expected this. But I'm also not going to be all in on Foreman now. They play the Chargers this week, and I know people are going to look at it and say, oh, it's the Chargers. But the Chargers have actually been pretty good against the run this year. They haven't been getting, destroyed by running backs. But I will say one encouraging thing, even if Rashawn Johnson is back, with Tyson Bagent, he caught passes because Tyson Bagent's ADOT was like 1 yard, right? They were just it was like everything was just like dink and dunk. So maybe Foreman actually will catch some passes. But the other real worry here for Foreman, if you're going to drop significant fab or any kind of fab really, or even use like a high waiver claim, Khalil Herbert will be back. Like Khalil Herbert is not out for the season. He had an ankle sprain, I think, right? Ankle sprain.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. Probably after their bye.
Exactly. So, are you willing to drop significant fab or use a high waiver claim on a guy that may only be fantasy relevant for a couple more weeks? And then Khalil Herbert's back, Rashawn Johnson's back, and who knows? Maybe Deontay Foreman goes back to being inactive. Because remember, he wasn't active since week 1. So, yeah, I wouldn't go crazy on Deontay Foreman unless I was desperate, just have to win and need a running back this week.
Yeah, if you need somebody, but you shouldn't really need anybody this week because there's no buys.
Right.
If you're at that point, then your roster is just hurting. These injuries and even some of the injured players are back. But anyways, yeah, it's tough to do. It really is tough to just be patient and wait, especially if you are hurting a running back. But you want to keep some of those fab dollars for the end of the season, the playoff run, because I can tell you from experience, guys I picked up in week 14, week 15, in the middle of the playoffs, have started on my playoff team and helped me win games. The guys that are going to help you win right now, week 8, week 9, not nearly as valuable. So don't, and the thing is, like you said, and you always say this, if I know a guy is going to be the guy there all season because it's like a season-ending injury to a starter, okay, that's one thing.
Right.
Rashawn Johnson's coming back this week. Khalil Herbert's coming back in a couple weeks. The Rams thing. Kyron Williams is not out for this season. He should be back. We don't really know, but probably he'll be back. So it's just, it's tempting. But this is why I would say, you're looking for a guy like this, stash them for nothing or just wait.
Yep.
All right. We're going to get to your questions, though. We have some people waiting, and we want to address all your comments and help you win if there's still something in play tonight. Or as I'm seeing from some of the comments, just commiserate and help you feel your pain and heal from lick your wounds from week 7 because things happen. Before we get into that, you do have still a little bit of time. Just a reminder, you might know that we are partnered with Underdog, and we're very proud because it's awesome. It's a great site. And tonight's special for new customers, if you haven't tried Underdog and you've been waiting just for this very moment, well, good on you, because now you can take the new customer special of Brock Purdy just needs a yard. So if he goes higher, than 1 yard, you get a free pick there, and you combine it with anything else to triple your money. And of course, if you use promo code Endgame, just click the link that is in the description. That means that you get a 100% deposit match up to $500. So just for signing up, you're already basically making money. So check that out, new customer special. And of course, you can play along with the in-game live pick'ems during the game. That's a lot of fun too. Sometimes those are the best. I actually tried one out yesterday. Jared Goff went over on pass attempts because first quarter, they were down 2 touchdowns. I was like, yeah, he's going to throw it a ton. Sure enough, he threw it a ton. I hit the over on that, went higher on pass attempts. And so it happens. So anyways, check it out if you haven't already. Alex B, first in line. This is several times he's been our first one. Down by 39 and have Ayuk left. Yeah, let's we didn't really talk Bijan because I'm not sure what to say about the Bijan thing. I mean, I guess you would have had a shot. I don't think Ramondre would have saved your day. I don't know if that makes you feel better.
Yeah, what did Ramondre get in PPR? Like 14? I mean, I guess 25. I guess he'd have a shot, but yeah. I mean, look, the Bijan thing was just like one of those. There's no, usually we get some kind of like report, right? Like, hey, you know, Bijan isn't feeling well in warmups. They're not sure if he's going to like play much today or whatever, right? Usually we get some kind of, we didn't get anything, not even like nothing. In fact, even like Ian Rappaport, when the report came out at halftime where the halftime reporter, whoever the reporter is for the network that was covering the game, asked Arthur Smith about it. And Arthur Smith said, yeah, he started feeling, sick last night and this morning. He's just not feeling well. Even Ian Rappaport was like, oh, there we go. Now we have some clarity. It's like, oh, like nobody saw it. Like, this was crazy. This was just, bad luck for sure.
There's no way you could have known. Obviously, nobody knew if you saw the tweets going out about it. Even the national reporters, like you said, nobody knew about this. There are, of course, conspiracy theories about it, whether Arthur Smith is just like he's in the doghouse for something, or he's just really just trying to screw with everybody. I mean, that doesn't make sense because I think he wants to win the game first, and I don't know.
Not to mention, Bijan has come out twice and said, like, even this morning, he said, like, when I woke up yesterday, I had terrible headaches, and they haven't really even gotten better to this day. Like, is Bijan, like, they told Bijan, like, hey, you're in the doghouse, but we're going to tell everybody, like, we're going to tell everybody that you're sick and just play along with it. And he's like, okay, cool, I'll do that. Yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah.
That's what players do all the time.
Yeah, that doesn't seem likely. So
just one of those things, just one of those freak things. And unfortunately, it was to a guy. It wasn't to like a guy that maybe you started, maybe you didn't. It was to a guy that everybody started. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, you can't do about this. All right, what about this one? Aaron Jones over Foreman. I mean, some people said, well, maybe he's going to be in a snap count, like limited, and he was. Did they come out and say that before the game? I don't remember hearing that.
No, they didn't say it before the game, but look, I was as high as anybody on Deonta Foreman in week 7, and I still would have played Aaron Jones over Deonta Foreman. I like Aaron Jones against the Broncos. Like, I'm not benching Aaron Jones for Deonta Foreman against the Broncos. Okay, it didn't work out. Deonta Foreman went off and Aaron Jones didn't, but like, as high as I was on Deonta Foreman, I still would have never told anybody to start Foreman over Aaron Jones against the Broncos. So, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? All you can do is make the best decisions and then hope it goes the way. I mean, we have very little control, right? We have no control. Let's be real. All we can do is look at the situation, look at the things, try to make our best decisions, and then hope the players in the game. It didn't.
Yeah, Kevin, I don't know if this will make you feel better. Probably not, but it wasn't bad process. Aaron Jones against Denver wasn't a bad call. Nobody saw Deonta Foreman scoring 3 touchdowns. I mean,
no. But
right.
I will say, If Aaron Jones does not look good this week against the Minnesota Vikings, okay, it's time to rethink Aaron Jones.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, definitely. I mean, you got to get healthy at some point, right?
Yeah.
Big Luscious Payne is losing by a point because you picked up the Lions defense. Yeah.
Man, Lions got
Defenses. We've heard a lot of stories this year about defenses getting negative points and costing people wins. This is why we don't play with defenses.
Yeah, that's why the Bills got negative points against the Patriots.
That's even crazier.
Come on. Get defenses out of fantasy already.
A Joker saying he tried to trade Aaron Jones and Ridley for Christian Kirk and got denied. Somebody just really does not want a part of Aaron Jones. All right.
Wow. That's funny because like before the season, people would have been like, who is this idiot giving up Christian Kirk for Aaron Jones and Calvin Ridley? And now it's like you can't even get Christian Kirk for Aaron Jones and Calvin Ridley.
I mean, who knows? That might not even be a bad move in that guy, but Sir
Right.
Boomer down 29, and the other guy has Ayuk. Sorry, 29 is more doable than 39. Okay, but you have Jake Moody. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I mean, like 29, it's more doable than 39, but it's still a huge game. I mean, it's still a huge game.
All right, Max, what is up, Max? 12 team, full PPR. He's got his roster here, asking for trades to help rest the season. So got Stroud, Bijan, Swift, JT. That's pretty good. I'm on Raw, Garrett Wilson, Watson, who now looks questionable in many ways. Downs, Deontay, Mark Andrews. I think the receiving core is where you need maybe some help.
Yeah, I mean, Bijan, Swift, JT, that's fantastic. Amon-Ra, Wilson, Watson, London. Yeah, I mean, you need help there, but honestly, this isn't like a team. Like you got Amon-Ra, so you have a wide receiver one. Between London, Wilson, now Deontay, because remember, that's Deontay's first game back from a hamstring. He only played 66% of the snaps. He'll get a little bit better. Watson, if depending on the injury, but you know what I'm really worried about for Watson is Jordan Love. Jordan Love has looked horrible the last two games in very good matchups. And I know you look yesterday and you said, well, he threw 2 touchdowns. He should have thrown 2 interceptions instead. Because that one by Surtain was very questionable whether he actually intercepted it or not. Could have gone either way.
Yeah.
And then the second one literally was behind Dobbs, went through his hands, went up in the air, and somehow landed right into Jaden Reed's lap. Right? That could have easily landed in one of the Broncos' laps. Like, I'm getting very nervous about Jordan Love right now. Like, man, he's looked really bad 2 games in a row against the Raiders and the Broncos, not against elite defenses. Came out of the bye, didn't look any better. So by extension, I'm a little nervous for Christian Watson too. But I don't know if this is a team where I would make a deal because I don't want to give up Bijan, Swift, or JT. Like that is just having those 3 guys is just such a luxury right now. So, and you got Amon-Ra, like I'm okay just rolling with like, look, you could flex one, you could play those 3 guys every single week. And if it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, you only need 2 of these wide receivers. Even if you need 3, like Amon-Ra and then 2 of Garrett Wilson, Drake London, and Deontay would be fine. So, and you got Mark Andrews at tight end. I wouldn't be messing with this team if it was me.
I mean, no, I'm definitely not messing with the running backs. And of course, keep Mark Andrews. I mean, the only thing I would say is because you got a legit number 1 receiver and you got some solid depth at receiver. Like you have a bunch of guys that are playable. Jameson Williams, I don't know. He's not playable to me.
Well, yeah.
I might try, if anything, it would make me feel a little better if you had a legit number 2 receiver. You know, like you could buy low on a guy like maybe T. Higgins right now, Devontae Smith, someone like that, or Olave. Because I'm worried about Watson. I mean, the injury, right? He's injured too now.
Right.
Who knows what that's going to be like? And like you said, with Love. I mean, is Garrett Wilson to you like a surefire number 2 receiver rest of the season?
Oh, no, definitely not. But I mean, are you going to get T. Higgins, Chris Olave? Are you going to get those guys for Garrett Wilson straight up?
I might package right now is a great time to sell Downs because he's coming off a huge game. I like Downs,
Yeah.
but I would like T. Higgins better, So like package Downs with a Wilson and then see if you can upgrade. And then you're fine rolling like London and Deontay at 3 and 4. That's the only thing I could think of. But otherwise, you actually don't need to make a trade.
Right.
All right, we got Arvin here. Arvin Angelis. Picked up Foreman right before the kickoff. That was a good move. Now I got 3 Bears running backs. Okay, well, what do you do?
Well, I think this week Foreman will likely still be the RB1, and Rashawn will go back to like the role he kind of had before. He'll get some run. He'll probably be in there on passing downs. What's really going to be interesting to see, obviously it's going to depend on how Foreman does over the next couple of weeks, but the Bears obviously liked Herbert and Rashawn significantly more than Foreman. Because again, after week 1, Foreman wasn't even active until both those guys got hurt and they had to activate him again. They're like, well, we need you because the other guys are hurt. So when Herbert is back, does Foreman go back to being inactive? I don't know. But right now, I would just hold them all. I think this week you're probably going to prefer Foreman. But yeah, I mean, once Herbert comes back, then maybe Foreman goes back to being inactive and you can drop him, or you can drop him then. But I think for right now, I would hold them all.
I mean, I'll say right now is a great time. If somebody's all in and wants to trade for him, do it. Flip him for something. I mean, people will do this, right? People were trading.
100%.
Okay.
No, 100%. He's in the buy low video, but not as a buy low.
Right. Okay. And again, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad, but you recall, all right, a few days ago, people were trading for Zach Evans. Zach Evans,
before he even played,
just picked up off of waivers, and then people were trading for him to not play.
Yes.
Somebody will trade you for Deontay Foreman coming off a 3-touchdown game. I guarantee it. So anyways, try that. I mean, realistically, rest of the season, it's probably going to be a back and forth situation anyway. So,
yeah, but yeah, for sure, somebody will trade you for Foreman. Yeah, no, I put him on the buy low video, but not as a buy low.
All right, Mary Jo, welcome back. Lost now 3 and 4. Yeah, because I remember this is an 18 league. You've got good players, Bijan. I mean, it happens. Good teams don't always come out with a win.
I will say, if it makes you feel better, Mary Jo, you lost 121-76, so I don't think even Bijan would have saved you.
Right.
It looks like you just had one of those weeks, right? One of those weeks where, hey, it happens. It happens. You have one of those games where all your players are terrible. Just move on to next week.
I actually prefer it that way because there's one of my leagues where I checked today and I was like, oh, nobody did anything this week. Good. At least they all got it out of their system at the same time, right? And then buys. Like, I actually feel better when I have teams where I have 3 or 4 players on buy. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely taking the L this week, but then they're all back and I don't have to worry about it like mixing and matching. I mean,
Yep.
I don't purposely do that, but I'm not like, oh no, these 2 receivers are the same bye week. I'd rather just get it out of the way with. So
yeah, get it out of the way. Because next week they're probably all going to explode.
Yeah, well, Jawan Fife, thank you. We appreciate it. Got a trade offer. Pollard, London, Debo, and Kyron for Hill and Ridley.
Whoa.
The 4 for 2.
You don't see that very often. Pollard, London, Debo, Kyron. But look,
we'd be getting the 4.
Yeah, but 2 of the 4, one's on IR, and one probably won't be back till after the team's bye. So,
yeah,
this is a pretty sneaky 2 for 4. It's like, hey, look, you're getting 4 good players, but one of them you won't have until at least week 12, and the other one you probably won't have until what, week 9? When does the 49ers bye?
I don't remember when their bye is, but I
think
they
you won't
had
have until week
2 weeks
10
for him.
You won't have them until week 10 because their bye is week 9, I'm pretty sure. So it's like one of the guys you won't have till week 10. The other one you won't have till at least week 12. We don't know if it'll be week 12. It could be longer. At least week 12. Right. Talking about Kyron. So, I mean, look, this looks enticing. Like you look at it, you see the names, and you think, wow, that's a lot of good players. And you do need running. I mean, Jacobs, Monty, Dillon, Pierce. I mean, you do need run. Man, Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is going to be the biggest bust this year.
Well, not the biggest, but he's definitely on the list.
Who's been a bigger bust than Jacobs?
Well,
I
at
mean,
least
T. Higgins,
Jacobs
but
is
I'm
hitting
pretty sure Jacobs was drafted before Higgins.
before who? Higgins?
Yeah. Once
Oh,
once Jacobs signed with the Raiders, he was back into being like a mid-second round pick.
yeah, I would say so. Um,
Who's been a
who's
bigger
been a bigger
bust?
bust? Who's not injured? Trying to think.
I mean, you could say like Ramondre, but he went again like a full round or more after. You could say Gibbs, but he went like a full round or more after. Like Jacobs has
Ye-
only really had like 2 good games. But anyways, getting way off topic here.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say Ridley has been kind of a bust, but
True, but
not too
yeah,
much.
probably pretty similar. Him and Ridley are probably pretty similar bust wise. Probably pretty
Najee,
similar.
but he was like a round later, 2 rounds later, maybe.
The
But
thing,
anyways, yeah. So, yeah, I don't think you're really helping your team here.
yeah, I don't think so either.
Higgins will be back and he'll be fine. Should be fine. Ridley is your number 3 receiver. That's okay. Like a little boom bust.
Yeah,
DJ Moore will get Justin Fields back at some point.
and he
We
looked
think.
okay. He was okay with Beijing yesterday. I like.
And he was okay. He was okay. I mean, you don't want to roll with Pierce next week, but you
It
could
is.
probably find
It
a
is the
different.
Panthers. It is the Panthers. Like one of the worst run defenses.
Yeah.
And remember, Monty should be back after the bye, which is week 10. So you only have to go a couple more weeks without Monty, hopefully.
Yeah. Because, yeah, I don't think it's worth giving up Hill
Yeah.
basically to get Pollard. And then London is not really an upgrade over Ridley as much as we think Ridley is terrible. He's not terrible. He's just inconsistent. Well, so is London. So now I
Yeah.
wouldn't do this.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it either.
All right. Let's see. Joe perpetually in the house, up by 29. He has Cousins. I think you're good.
Yeah, I think you're good. That would be like if they were playing like like the Chargers at home, where I figured like, oh, this might be a total shootout and it's a bad defense, maybe, but against the 49ers, I think you're good. I think you're good.
And then Arvin with another, got both Downs and Pittman in a different league. What do you do here? And if so, who do you trade?
I think Downs is the one to trade. I think he actually has more value right now. As crazy as that
Probably.
sounds. Um that was just such a weird game, right? You had the Jerome Ford 69-yard touchdown. You had the Downs like 60-yard touchdown. Pittman doing absolutely nothing all game, and then like almost at the very end, a 75-yard touchdown. Like what? Like what was
Yeah.
that game? What was that? That game was so
Aggravating
weird.
is what it was. And you remember, I was pretty much everyone that asked, and this is my big L for this past week. Everyone asked about Josh Downs. I was like, no, I can't do it. Cleveland's such a good
Yeah.
defense. Like, it's not going to happen. So what happened? Like the very first play of the game, I think it was. He
Yes.
just, and I was watching because I think they were showing on a red zone for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it was like offsides, that Myles Garrett jumped
Yeah.
offsides. So it was
Yeah.
a free play. So he just chucked it up, and then the defense was like, oh, what's happened? The play stopped. No, it didn't. Josh Downs went for 59. So I said, oh, it figures, right? It figures. Like, don't start Josh Downs. And like the very first thing that happened in that game was that. And then Michael Pittman did nothing all game. I was like,
The
well,
whole
at least I knew
game.
that. Right? He had 1 catch for 8 yards, and then what happens? He
Like
does
literally not their last possession because they got the ball back with like whatever time, like very little time to go, but really like their true last possession.
Yeah.
75 yards. He breaks a tackle. A dude like just dives into him instead of tackling him. It's like, is this the Browns defense? This is the Browns defense, right? The best defense in the NFL, just getting shredded by these wide receivers. But anyways, yeah, I feel like Downs has a lot of value right now if you want to try to trade him.
Downs getting more hype. Pittman's still the number 1 guy there. I mean, let's not get that twisted just yet. I think it's trade downs. Keep Pittman.
Yeah.
Pat Mack down by 9 has CMC and the Niners defense, but the opponent has Kittle, Osborne, and Moody. I mean, it should be close.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to Kittle. Does Kittle have like one of those boom games, or does he do what he's been doing, which is nothing? I think that's what it's going to come down to. But I will say, it is National Tight End Week, and we had some big tight end games this week, right? Like some very big tight end games on National Tight End Week. So I don't know, maybe, but yeah, it's going to be close. Going to be close.
And well, let me answer the question first here. Look, I consider, like, let's say a kicker and defense, assuming 49ers do, fairly well. To me, I'll just say, okay, they kind of offset each other.
Right.
Osborne kind of just offsets himself. He's probably not going to do anything. CMC, obviously, you'd prefer him over Kittle, but you're down by 9, so that's where it comes close. If Kittle doesn't have any big plays or touchdowns, I think you win. But you never know. Okay, but let me ask you this. Has National Tight End Day, has that always been a thing? How come I never remember hearing about this before this year? Has that always been a thing?
Because I feel like in recent years, it's like every day has to be a national something now. Like for real, like there's like the most random. Like if you look it up, national whatever days, there are some random days, like random.
Oh yeah,
days. Like what? Like who cares about that? Obviously the people who created it must care about it, or people who are into that must care about it. But like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, who knows? You can just say anything. Like today is, I don't know. Today is National Stop with the National whatever days day. That's what today is.
Yeah, it's like National, Iridescent Light Bulb Day or something.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, I'm just wondering because I don't remember ever hearing about it before. And it just so happens that all the NFL is talking about is a certain tight end in Kansas City. I'm just saying, not that I believe in conspiracy theories, but if I did, no, okay. Speaking of, that's a perfect segue. Kyle, there was a lot. And look, objectively speaking, this is not disputable. The Eagles, how do you go an entire game without a single penalty? And don't tell me, whoever is going to say in the chat, like in the Discord, oh, there were some offsetting penalties. That doesn't count. They didn't actually get a single accepted penalty. How does that happen?
Yeah, no, that was certainly fishy, especially that one. There was that really obvious, like, where he grabbed where Bradbury grabbed Cedric Wilson's face mask right in front of the official and no flag. So definitely some home cooking last night, no doubt about it.
Lots of home cooking. That Wilkins roughing the passer, I mean, like, that's ridiculous. And they when they put on whoever, Gene Steratore, whoever does that thing, he was like, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy still is if Tyreek Hill doesn't knee that ball out of his hand on that, they ended up kicking a field goal. I think it was like right when they came out of the halftime, because remember they had that touchdown right before the half, got some momentum, came out of the half. I think, if I'm remembering this right, it was early in the second half, but Tua hit Tyreek like right inside the 10-yard line coming across. He's going to easily run into the end zone, and he hits goes like this, and when he brings it down, he literally knees the ball out of his own hand, and they ended up having to kick a field goal instead. I think the next play was that Cedric Wilson play, actually, and they ended up having to kick a field goal. If he holds on to that and scores, they might have still won that game, or at least it would have been a very much more competitive game. So
there were chances. I think the bigger issue here, besides, some home cooking, was the offensive line. The Dolphins just looked bad. And then they're playing with backups. Look, Liam Eichenberg needs to go. I mean, can we just get a real center? We just need a center. That's been obvious for a long time now. I know everyone who's a Dolphin fan knows what I'm talking about. We need a center. And then we need Terran Armstead to be back. Yeah. So I didn't like it. No, sir, I did not.
Yeah, I will say what you want about the penalties, but the Eagles on both sides of the ball, their line dominated.
Yes,
the Eagles on the offensive and the defensive side. They won the trenches. Flags, right. Whatever you want to say about the flags, they dominated in the trenches, and that is certainly going to be an issue for the Dolphins, especially when you get to the playoffs and you're playing really good defenses. But yeah.
Here's an easy one to handle. CEO New Beliefs picked up Jordan Mason. Should I still play CMC?
Yes, CMC is active. So. They've officially said just a little bit ago he's active. He's playing. Play CMC. Oh, what if we got CMC Bijan week where you're like,
I mean, at this point, nothing surprises me anymore. We got another one here. Same thing. Barber King, Mason or CMC for CMC. 16 points. I mean, I don't know if it's safe, but I think if he's playing, you got to go CMC.
Yeah, I think even if CMC was out, I wouldn't feel safe about Jordan Mason getting 16 points.
Right. Frosif, is T-Law and Ridley too much to get Justin Herbert?
I think so. I know Frosif, you asked me in the Discord and you said guys like Miles Sanders, Josh Palmer, somebody else. And I was like, okay, if you want to give up those guys and get Justin Herbert, I'm okay with it. Because, like, those are just bench guys, right? You're only going to play them if you need to or whatever. But Ridley, yeah, that feels like too much for Justin Herbert.
I mean, look at the last couple of weeks. Herbert hasn't been balling out as much as he was the first few games. So, gotta wonder, and what's up with Austin Ekeler? I mean,
well, here's the big thing. It coincides perfectly with when Mike Williams got hurt. Mike Williams getting hurt was a huge blow to this offense because the guy who was supposed to be the Mike Williams replacement, Quentin Johnston, is not getting it done. They once again do not have that vertical threat now that they had earlier in the season when Herbert was balling out, because they don't have that anymore. And it's making it tough on Keenan Allen as well. And the whole offense. But yeah, Austin Ekeler, man, that 2 games in a row, terrible. Terrible.
I was on the verge of saying maybe this is the time to kind of like sell high on Justin Herbert, but then realistically, like, how do you upgrade at quarterback? Because you're not going to get Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts. So yeah, I mean, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. But yeah, I just don't know. We might not see the Chargers as the best offense in the league the rest of the year just because they were the first month. What about this Sven Dragon? Is 4 bench spots the norm?
That's too few. That's too few. I'm in a league with 5 bench spots and it's super flex. And we keep we keep dropping players that end up going off because it's like, we can't hold these guys. We have buys. We have injuries. We need to pick up subs, and I have to drop Jacoby Myers because we need a running back this week. Or I have to drop, we dropped Deontay Foreman last week because it's like, well, we had 2 quarterbacks on bye in a super flex league. We needed a replacement. Well, this is not no, you need more bench spots. This is not the norm. 5 should be the bare minimum, and really 6 or more.
I think in most of our end game, maybe all of our end game leagues that we do with our viewers, it's 6, right? We got 6 bench spots and then 2 IR spots.
Yeah.
There's really not a norm, an established convention here. Right. So I think 4, it would be the minimum. I prefer deeper. I'd rather go deeper because it, helps. It's an advantage to the people who actually pay attention.
Exactly. I'll say in a 4 bench spot league, just worry about your starting lineup. Don't even worry that much about your bench.
Yeah. Jambon J, 12-team half PPR was offered Diggs and Bijan for Puka and Kamara.
You have to take this.
Okay.
I mean, look. No one can be. I mean, I guess I can't say that because somebody obviously is, but nobody should be higher on Puka than Diggs. And are we really higher on Kamara than Bijan now? We were having this discussion in the Discord today, because people were like, oh, Kamara looks like the best pick. And I'm like, what week is it? What week are we in? Because I remember last year when he did this for 4 games, right? From week 5 to week 8, he was a monster in fantasy, an absolute monster. And then he wasn't very good the rest of the year. And it's okay, yeah, is he going to keep catching double-digit passes every week for the rest of the season, and he's going to end up with 200 catches in the NFL receiving record for a running back. Actually, the NFL receiving record for anybody will be Alvin Kamara. It'll be Alvin Kamara, the running back, will have the most receptions in a season in NFL history. I mean, maybe, probably not. Yeah, you got to take Diggs and Bijan here. Have to.
If this just happened, this feels like somebody who's irrationally panicking on Bijan because he didn't play for one game. So
right.
Should be a very good deal for you if you get in the Diggs side. Take it. Jeremy Whitendorf, trade DJ Moore or Thielen for any of these guys.
I mean,
like straight up, or
I would trade both these receivers for Jefferson, assuming you're okay without Jefferson for 2 to 3 or whatever many more weeks. I would trade either of these guys for Olave. Like,
I see Bijan on there too.
Yeah, I would trade either of these guys for Bijan. I would trade either of these guys for Pollard.
Kyron, no. Pacheco, no.
I would trade Thielen for Pacheco if I needed a running back. I'm okay with that. I don't care. Whatever. I'm not all in on Thielen. I would probably trade Evans is close. If I would trade either of these guys for Evans. I might trade Thielen for Evans.
Yeah, I think you could do that. Evans has been solid.
I would trade either of these guys for Kirk. I probably would have traded either of these guys for Jacobs last week, but now I'm getting seriously worried about Josh Jacobs. It's not just that he's not putting up fantasy games. He looks terrible. He looks awful. Just does not look like last season is looking like we're going to look at Josh Jacobs' career and just be like, what happened in 2022? Like, you know, I don't want to say he was like bad, but like if you look at Josh Jacobs throughout his career, it was like, yeah, he was decent. He was like unbelievable. And he was bad. Like that's been his career so far. Like what happened? How did 20? Like, man, it just feels like, man, if you drafted Josh Jacobs last year, you just won the lottery basically. You drafted him at the right time in the right year. That was it. So I don't know about Jacobs anymore. I feel like it should be. I feel like I should be able to trade either of these guys for Jacobs, but man, I don't know anymore.
If you need a running back, then sure, you could trade DJ Moore for Jacobs. At least you get a starting running back who's getting volume. But I prefer Pollard. If you can get Bijan for either of those guys, I would do it right now.
For
Jefferson, of course.
Yeah.
All right, Luis, come back. All right, so the Gibbs role now and when Monty healthy.
It's gonna be what it was. It just is. It's like when's an example of the lead back missing a couple games and then coming back and his role being severely diminished? What's the last example you can think of where that happened? We're like a good, not like a bad lead back, not like somebody who wasn't very good, but like a good lead back who's playing well, misses a couple games with injury, the backup, change of pace guy, whatever, comes in, does pretty well, and then the lead back comes back and suddenly, I'll give you an example of when it didn't happen with the same exact guy. David Montgomery in Chicago, every time he would get hurt and Khalil Herbert would ball out, everybody was like, oh, this is going to be like a split backfield now when Montgomery, oh, yeah, he's not going to get all those touches anymore. And then Montgomery would come back and Khalil Herbert would barely touch the ball. Right? Because teams like the guys they like for a reason. And they don't forget. They don't be like, in fantasy football, if somebody doesn't do anything for 2 weeks, we forget about him, right? That guy doesn't exist anymore. This is how it works in real life, right? They don't forget about their lead running back. So I think his role is going to be exactly what it was before Montgomery got hurt. Change of pace back. That's it. That is it.
We are very clear on how Dan Campbell views both of these running backs.
Yes.
Gibbs is playing a lot now because he has to. That's it.
Yep.
So Gibbs, great pick this week. And then sell because Monty's going to be the lead guy.
Yep.
South Sea. Fields and Richardson gone. Streaming for week 8. Who do we like? All right, let's get to it. Stafford. I kind of looked it up. Stafford gets the Cowboys.
You know what? I don't even care.
Mayfield is Baker Mayfield. Sam Howell gets the Eagles, and then Gardner Minshew gets the Saints.
Yeah, they're all in brutal spots. And look, Stafford's been in 2 great spots at home this week. Just not putting up big numbers anymore. Just not putting up big numbers. He's okay. Like, he didn't kill you or anything, but he's not putting up those big numbers. Oh, this is brutal. These guys are all in bad spots this week.
I mean, the Cowboys defense hasn't been as good for obvious reasons the last couple of weeks against the pass. But, I mean, can we really feel a big Stafford game when he didn't have a big game against the Steelers? I mean,
what, 250 yards and a touchdown, something like that? Probably.
Yeah.
Maybe 275 and a touchdown.
What I actually think I might do here, if you don't want to just say, well, I'll just take what Stafford gives me, maybe roll the dice on Howell and think, well, they're going to be losing bad enough that he'll have to throw the ball 50 times again and just see if he has one of those random garbage time games where he gets you 300 yards.
Yeah, I guess probably Howell. He runs at least he runs a little bit. He could always run in a touchdown. Yeah, these are not good options. And no, not Watson. Done with Watson. Done with that guy. What the heck?
No.
I won all my redraft leagues this week, except the 2 where I had Deshaun Watson. Thanks, Deshaun.
I will tell you something. I mean, I'll say this. Look it up because I feel like they played already. Talking about Washington and Philly, they played not too long ago, a couple weeks ago. Sam Howell, 290 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, he's probably gonna have to throw a lot. He's probably going to have to throw a lot at least. So
that's not going to be probably less than Stafford gets you. So Stafford, play it safe. Howell, play it less safe. All right. Alec. Kittle, did he create? Is this a true thing? I don't know if this
probably.
is true.
Probably. You can create a day if you want.
Oh, okay. Well, this is confirmation right here. Mr. TD said he does believe that Kittle.
All right. There it is. It is a thing.
All right. I did not know that.
The day we didn't know we needed.
Do we?
No, we don't.
I thought the NFL created it this year just for Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, but anyway.
No, it's like there's no national whatever day for like a super popular thing that everybody loves. Because that would, you know what I mean? Like, you got to do National Tight End Day because the tight ends have to come together and say, like, hey, we deserve some love. There's going to be like a National Kicker Day pretty soon. National Punter Day. It's going to, you know what I mean? National Offensive Lineman Day. Snapper Day. Let's get a long snapper day going.
Yeah, like we don't need a National Quarterback Day, but the tight ends needed a day.
Right, exactly.
They had a day. All right, Luis wants to know, besides the thing that happened this week, what about Bijan's usage? Kind of feeling like maybe he's being underutilized. I mean, yeah, you're going to keep him. Definitely keep him.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw this in the Discord today because people were debating about like would they rather have Tony Pollard or Bijan Robinson rest of the season. And they were saying they'd rather have Pollard because his usage is more consistent. And I didn't chime in because I didn't really want to get into a Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson debate. Like that's just, I had too busy. I don't want to do that today.
No.
But I'm like, what I was thinking in my head was like, you realize Tony Pollard's usage has been significantly more inconsistent than Bijan Robinson's, right? Like, that is one thing. Bijan Robinson's usage has been very consistent every single week, pretty much. It's very consistent. No, he hasn't had any of those huge games. And look, in standard scoring, he really hasn't had any huge games because he hasn't scored a lot of touchdowns. But his usage has been very consistent. Like, okay, this week, sure, that was a random week, but he's played 70 or 70%, 80% of the snaps almost every single game. He gets around like 13 to 16 carries. He gets like 4 to 8 targets every single week. It's very consistent. And remember, he's a rookie. Remember last year, who was the running this time last year? Who was the running back crushing for the Falcons?
guy who is not crushing this year, even though he's getting a plenty of run. Tyler Algier. Look, Tyler
No,
Algier had a
no.
ton of touches this week,
It
and he
was
didn't do
not
anything.
It was not Tyler Algier this time last year. It was Cordero Patterson still. Tyler Algier was
Oh,
barely getting the ball because he was a rookie, and Arthur
are you talking
Smith
about
is
the
one of
first
these
half of
guys
the
who,
year?
yeah, he doesn't just throw rookies out there right away. The fact that Bijan is getting this much usage with Arthur Smith this early just tells you how good he is. What did we see down the stretch? Cordero Patterson barely got the ball anymore. It was all Tyler Algier. Bijan Robinson is going to be fine. Not worried about Bijan Robinson. Now he may not be as good in standard. I will admit that because he doesn't
Right.
have tremendous touchdown upside in this offense, of course, but he'll still be very good.
Yeah, it definitely hurts being the standard because his biggest asset is he's a really good receiver, and that
Yeah,
doesn't help you at all in standard. And he doesn't score a ton of touchdowns because of the offense, but also because Tyler Algier does still come in near the goal line.
for now.
But I wouldn't trade him now. I mean, you'd just be selling low. So,
Yeah, this is not the time to trade him.
all right, Renegade Envy wants to know down two. I got CMC. The other team has Addison and Moody. Who do you like?
I like your chances. I mean, I don't know anything about Moody, the field goal kicker. I don't know how many points he gets. I don't know if he's good or not. Whatever. I'm not. You never know with Addison. Addison's obviously the wild card, right? He could do very little. He could do a lot. He could do mediocre. You just never know with Addison. So, if CMC was fully healthy, I think I would like your chances. I do have some worries that maybe we don't see full CMC tonight, just because I mean, look, I'm not saying don't start seeing don't go start Jordan Mason now or do something crazy. But I do wonder if we don't see like full CMC tonight, if we do see a little more Mason and Mitchell than we're used to. But I still like your chances.
Yeah, I think I still have to lean the CMC side, but this one might come down to the wire. So
Yeah,
we'll
definitely.
see. It's going to depend on Addison, really, if he does anything or not.
Right.
Have you heard this, Sir Boomer? You're talking about the Chargers and Mike Williams being gone. Heard because Hollywood makes sense as a trade candidate because Arizona is not good. Have you heard anything about the Chargers linked to him?
No, the last I heard about Hollywood Brown was that the Cardinals have no interest in trading him. I mean, that doesn't mean it can't happen, but
You know who the Chargers should get? There's that guy was in Denver. Was it Jerry Judy? I think it is. I heard he's really good.
Jerry Judy, they need a field stretcher like Mike Williams. They need a guy like that. The problem is they
Okay, they
drafted
don't
him
think
and
he's
he's
supposed
not
to
that
be.
guy yet.
Oh, Jerry Judy. All right, Alaka is down 26 with CMC and Moody. The
Eh,
opponent has Ayuk. I think that's a little too steep of a hill to climb.
yeah, you're gonna need a Monday Night Miracle.
Like if your opponent had nobody, I would say, okay, you do have a decent chance, but no.
Yeah, and especially
Also, Shane
Ayuk.
traded Lockett, Sutton, and JMO for Ramondre Jacoby, a 7th round pick. And okay, I guess is that a separate deal? Yeah, I think it's a separate deal. All right, let's start with the first deal. Lockett, Sutton, JMO for Ramondre Jacoby, 7th round pick.
Is this a keeper league? Is that why it's a 7th round pick? So you get an extra 7th in your draft next year, I'm assuming? Or this must be a really deep dynasty league. I've never been in a dynasty league that went 7 rookie rounds deep. That's pretty deep.
No. And if it
That's
is,
like,
the 7th round pick would be worth nothing. So yeah, it must be a keeper thing.
yeah. So I like it. I mean, look, Lockett really has not been very good this year. He just really hasn't. Even this week when DK was out and we thought this is going to be the chance for Lockett to really go off, he didn't. He didn't. Sutton has been pretty solid though. Like Sutton getting no love, man. Sutton's been good and he's getting just no love from anybody.
He has been good.
Jameson Williams, like, not doing it.
No.
So I think this is a good trade for you. I like this trade for you.
Yeah, I mean, it'll come down to if Ramondre is still worth starting next year. We'll see what happens there. But I like getting, if it's a keeper thing, then the 7th round pick is pretty valuable, better than those receivers. I think it's fine. I think it's good. And then Rashawn and a 2nd round pick for Etienne.
Yeah, I like this.
Because Etienne is probably going to be about a second rounder next year, don't you think?
Oh, if he keeps doing this, for sure. For sure. And he's young, so you can definitely keep him. Yeah.
I mean, that feels pretty fair. How about this? Bear Smoke Gaming, which I love the handle there. Need 24 points to the 49ers defense.
I mean, anything is possible in fantasy, but yeah. That's a big defense. You need like 2 touchdowns. That's like 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, we've seen it, right? We've seen it happen. Pick
Oh yeah.
six. Big dog pound. Which defense rest of season? Lions or Eagles?
Neither. Stream. But if I had to pick one, I guess the Eagles. But neither. Stream. Stream defense is big dog pound.
Yeah. I mean, if you have to pick, and I know, I mean, look, if you have these teams both available, like you should be able to stream because obviously it's not like you're desperate and deep. Like I hate it when you're in the leagues where people have all the defenses and then people take a backup defense and then you're like, oh, I need a defense this week. Let's see, who is it? Oh, the Bears, the Vikings. Like you don't want to stream any of them. You don't want to take negative points. I'd say based on the schedule, I like the Eagles, and I like the Eagles coming together defensively.
Yeah, they are starting to come together. They're getting healthy.
Let's see.
Yeah.
What about? No, that's a different thing. All right, Python's in the house. Oh,
yes,
there you go.
Hit that like.
Bijan trade ideas. Well, look, he's not exactly lighting it up lately. The thing that happened this week is just a weird blip. But I think you can't just say that's it. He's a bust. Like you were wrong about Bijan.
This is the funny thing. Remember the first 3 weeks he had first 4 weeks really didn't he have 3 great games in the first 4 weeks, and now he's had 3 the last 2 weeks weren't even that bad. They just were kind of down games, and then this week, and now all of a sudden he's a bust. He went from being yeah, so glad I drafted Bijan in the first round to now he's a bust. And then if he has 2 huge games in a row, it's so glad I drafted Bijan Robinson in the first round.
Yeah, a lot of trade ideas, but I mean, some people are smart enough to know not to sell low, and some people are just panicking because that's what people do. So,
yeah.
All right, we're done. Thank you. 14 man, half PPR, 4-3. Got Tua and Hill, Pickens, Ridley, Gibbs, Stevenson, Foreman, Mayer. What can you do to improve this team? Got Watson on the bench, Spears, and Wilson. So this team does not have. Well, I guess it. Yeah, I guess it technically does. 14-man league is a little bit deeper. I guess Mayer's fine at tight end.
Yeah, Mayer did not come through for us in week 6, 7. That's for sure.
Does not have a legit RB1. And no, Gibbs is not a legit RB1.
Yeah, this might be a good time. This might be a good time to trade Foreman and Gibbs. Try to get an RB1 if you can. Go get a Tony Pollard. Go get a Bijan Robinson. Somebody who's panicked on Bijan Robinson and thinks he's going to be a bust because of this. Thinks Arthur Smith just didn't want to give him the ball yesterday. Yeah, go try to package Foreman and Gibbs. Look, everybody's hoping Gibbs hits this year, right? Everybody really wants Gibbs to be a thing. He really wants him to be awesome, and then they got a glimpse of it. His value has gone way up now, so yeah, go try to package Foreman and Gibbs. Go get Bijan, Pollard, somebody like that.
This is a deep enough league. It's 14 man. Somebody out there will want Foreman. Somebody's thinking, I can put him in my RB2 spot, whatever. Yeah, definitely time for you to trade Foreman. And yes, you can trade Gibbs and get a stud running back. That would help improve your team. I think you're actually pretty good everywhere else. All right, Beast Trend has Justin Jefferson and looking to trade him. Decent wide receivers behind him. Got Josh Jacobs and Ramondre. Would you trade Jefferson to upgrade at RB?
I mean, yeah, but you got to get a stud. You got to get it's got to be like maybe buy low on Ekeler, unless you're like full-fledged panicked on Ekeler. Buy low on Bijan, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker, Saquon Barkley. I mean, it's got to be a stud. I'm not trading Jefferson for like Isaiah Pacheco or somebody in that, like that. Like, it's got to be a stud.
This seems like a good time to go fishing for Bijan. Go for that. See what you can do. Jeremy Johnson, thank you, Jeremy. Has Zay Flowers, Gabe Davis, Hopkins commit, Johnson got 2 running backs in IR. Who should I drop to take them off? Well, you don't have to worry about that for a while.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to take them off IR because they're officially on IR. So unless you have some weird league settings where like on Monday the IR resets and then, but I've never seen that before. You shouldn't have to drop them. But I will say, like, you can drop Komet.
Yeah. I mean,
you can definitely drop
You can drop him just for the sake of dropping him.
Yeah. Like, did he even have a catch?
I don't know. He might have had like 1 or 2, but nothing significant, which I know because I actually had to start him in one league. He had no catches. No catches.
No, yeah, I didn't think so.
So obviously Bijan doesn't like him.
I don't even think it's that Bijan doesn't like him. It's just that they smartly protected Bijan as much as they could and did not ask him to do very much, right? Like, I mean, the leading receiver was DJ Moore with 54 yards on 8 catches. Like,
they actually didn't even need to throw the ball because they were winning and the Raiders couldn't do anything on offense. And Foreman was going off. So it was like, why are we going to throw it? So that was smart. It was actually smart. You know what? He saved his job. Good for Eberflus in Chicago. He was probably on the verge of getting fired when they were 0-4, I think it was. And then they pulled out that win against Washington in primetime. And then they won again. And I mean, he has responded to at least save his job for a few more weeks. Should I pick up Josh Downs? Yeah, but would you drop any of these guys for Josh Downs?
Probably. I mean, I will drop Komet for Josh Downs. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Komet. Yeah. You shouldn't have to drop somebody for those guys. I mean, if you're asking like, 3 weeks from now, who should I drop? Ask 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, because Josh Downs probably won't be on your waiver wire anymore.
Christopher E, full PPR, picked up Hunt and Foreman. That was a good move.
Good timing.
Also have Monty and Pollard. So who can I hold until Monty is back?
I mean, you could hold them both, but you could definitely hold Hunt now because, we did get confirmation today from Schefter saying Jerome Ford, it's a low high ankle sprain. Not sure what that means, but, he's probably going to miss at least a couple of weeks, if not more. So now Kareem Hunt looks like a thing again. So look, if you added Kareem Hunt or you dropped Fab on him a few weeks ago when Chubb got hurt and somehow didn't drop him up till now, congrats. You lucked into Kareem Hunt.
There you go. So I say pick up these guys before they become valuable. So smart move there. I didn't want Kareem Hunt to be a thing. Now he has to be because of the injury. So, and also, what can I trade Ridley for? Stick of gum.
I will say in one of our endgame leagues, I traded Ridley and Evans for Puka. Maybe a slight overpay on Puka. But I did not want to deal with the Ridley headache anymore. I was like, just give me Puka. I feel good about Puka rest of the season. I feel like he'll be solid every single week. I'm like, just give me Puka.
So your team trade Ridley.
Well, I'm team trade anybody if it's the right. Like I'll trade Bijan Robinson if somebody's going to overpay me for Bijan Robinson. I don't know if that was necessarily an overpay for Puka. I mean, if Puka was an overpay for Ridley and Evans. But I think Puka is an every week high end wide receiver too. I just don't have to even really worry about it, right? I don't have to worry about is this going to be a Ridley bust week or a good week? What am I going to get from Ridley this week? I don't really have to worry about it, right? It's like, fine, just put him in. Because he's my wide receiver 3. Like Puka's my wide receiver 3 now, so.
Yeah, sometimes there's something to be said for just having that getting rid of the headache there. Like Evans was good again, though. At least I'll say that. But yeah, I'm good. What about this for Puka? Speaking of Martin, we traded Puka for Devontae Adams. You like that?
Yeah, I like it. I don't think it's like a huge win or anything. I look, Adams is on the buy low tomorrow. This week I did put Adams on the buy low because people are pretty panicked on Adams. But I haven't heard anybody talking about the fact that he had to play with Aiden O'Connell, then pretty much had to play with Brian Hoyer, and then did have to play with Brian Hoyer. But all anybody's talking about is like, what happened to Devontae Adams? Well, I'll tell you what happened to Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
He had to play with Aiden O'Connell and Brian Hoyer twice.
I know. Some people, sometimes you forget the context.
Yeah, it's like, really? Like, what? Okay, like, he's not the wide receiver one anymore. Jacoby's the wide receiver one. He's dust. Like, or maybe Jimmy G just, So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I have Puka significantly below Adams, but I think I have Adams over Puka still, definitely.
Right. Yeah. I prefer getting Adams here. Edgar's back. Edgar Padilla. Yep, always here for the advice. Okay, so he's asking if Monty or Rashawn get cleared this week.
Rashawn sounds very likely to get cleared this week. They said today he's in like the last stage of the protocol. Monty, I don't think so. I think we're gonna, because they have their bye next week. I think we're not gonna see Monty till after the bye. So I think we get one more week of Jahmyr Gibbs, workhorse, and then Monty is back. Well, then the bye, and then Monty's back.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Maybe it was not an official thing or just speculation, but I think it was pretty clear that Monty wasn't going to play until after their bye. So yeah, Monty, definitely don't count on him this week.
And hey, for those of you that got burned by Bijan Robinson yesterday, which is a lot of us, and you want some vengeance, this just dropped. The NFL is investigating the Falcons about Bijan Robinson not being on the injury report. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll get fined or something, and we can at least take a little.
Good. Take that, Arthur Smith.
Yeah, take that
for messing with us.
Yeah.
What do you think about value red apples?
I actually think you have a chance. I think Ayuk should have a big game tonight against the Vikings. No Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Cousins should at least be solid. He's should have to throw it a lot at least. I think you got a chance. Definitely have a chance.
Yeah, I like having Ayuk there. I think he's going to have the biggest game tonight. CMC should get you something. Cousins, the guy I'm most nervous about because we know primetime Cousins.
Yes.
Negative, but he should get you something. So I think you actually do have a decent chance here. Thy messenger has returned. 8-man, full PPR. Are we dropping Christian Watson? Somebody asked this in the Discord too. I mean, we don't have any clarity on Christian Watson injury-wise, do we?
No. Like, unless it's a long-term, like, season or most of the season injury, you can't drop Watson. Like, there's got to be somebody else to drop.
This is an 8-team league, so, much more shallow.
I mean, that's true, but when I look at the waiver wire, like, these guys, like, Singletary, if it wasn't for me stashing Singletary last week, he'd be on pretty much all my waiver wires.
Yeah, Downs would be the only one, but I mean, I would hope that Watson, since it's an 8-man league, that Watson isn't an every week starter for you. I'll just put it that way. What about Graham? 15 from Kittle.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely going to be a sweat because Kittle is so right. He's going to do what he's done most of the year this year and have like a couple catches for 25 yards, or is he going to have some random 2-touchdown game out of nowhere that nobody saw coming? So you're going to sweat because, at any moment, anytime the 49ers have the ball, you never know with Kittle. But if I had to bet, I would bet on you. But I wouldn't feel good about it. I'd be sweating.
Yeah, Kittle could have a good game if Debo's not playing and CMC is limited. It's like, okay, maybe more to Kittle. Vikings, as bad as their pass defense is, they're not terrible against tight ends specifically. So, I mean, I think you do have a decent shot. decent job. By the way, talking about the Eagles, I did see this. This is not fantasy relevant specifically, but they did get Kevin Byard from Tennessee. My question here is, okay, yeah, great. The Eagles defense is even better. That's awesome. But do you think this is a sign now Tennessee is going to be a seller, which means maybe some other big name players in Tennessee get traded?
Yeah, Tennessee should be a seller. I mean, look, Tennessee should have been a seller before the season. Like these
Well,
guys,
that's true.
these guys are like, we can do it. You know what the answer to our problem is? 31-year-old DeAndre Hopkins. That's what this team is missing. That's what we've been missing. We just bring him in and suddenly we're a playoff team. No, they absolutely should be sellers. I mean, yeah, you're gonna go into the next season with Ryan Tannehill again. You're gonna sign Derrick Henry to a third contract when he's 30 years old. You're gonna roll with 32-year-old DeAndre Hopkins as your wide receiver one. Like you're just gonna do this again next year. Like, oh, this year will be different. We can easily keep up with the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Bengals. Oh, no problem. No problem. We can keep up with those offenses. No problem. Yeah, they definitely should be sellers.
They should be. Problem is you need somebody else to buy, right? Somebody else has to really want to take on, everything that comes with it and have the money. So it's interesting. I'll just say this, not expecting it to happen, but this is a good time to pick up Tajay Spears because, already he's looking pretty valuable. Just saying, it's a good time. All right, Joe's got another one. Joe Castles, Robinson and Moss for Pickens, Myers, or Hollywood Brown. Pick a receiver. He's, I guess, trying to upgrade a receiver for Robinson and Moss.
Yeah, I'd probably be okay with any of these guys, honestly. Myers feels the safest. Pickens looked pretty good coming out of the bye. The whole Steelers offense looked pretty good coming out of the bye. Are we all in on the Steelers? Are we back in on the Steelers, or are we about to get burned?
Well, my pick here. I'm going to go Pickens because I've been in on Pickens, and sure enough, he's defying the odds. The odds being that nobody thinks he'll succeed, and he keeps doing it. And with Deontay Johnson being back, it seemed to actually help him, not hurt him. So I'm not going to say I'm all in on the Steelers, especially the run game. But I like Pickens. I'll take the upside with Pickens.
Yeah, I'd be okay with any of these guys, honestly.
Yeah, I'd be fine with Myers too.
Yeah, even Hollywood.
Yeah.
Kyler's coming back. Josh Dobbs killing Hollywood right now.
Well, that's true. With Kyler coming back, yeah. So yeah, I would take Pickens, but I would do it for any of them. So this is just basically what also talking about Moss, but just kind of intimating there's stash Tajay Spears. Would you drop Moss? Yeah.
Yeah, I will say it was still more of a 50-50 than I expected yesterday, even though JT was great. But look, Zach Moss did not look very good yesterday. Like, there were a lot of times, especially late in that game when the game was close, and they would have like a drive where it was all Zach Moss, and he just did very little. And I even saw like some Colts beat writers are like, look, I get that you're like still working JT back. They're like, but the game's on the line. Zach Moss isn't cutting it. Like, get JT back in there. Yeah. But yeah, to stash Spears, probably.
Yeah, I think so. Moss is still worthy of being on rosters, but I think you got to go the upside of Spears. AV, who would you trade away? Hoarding running backs, that's never a bad strategy. Got Hurts, Jamar, Amon-Ra, Addison, Goddard, Brees, Madison, B-Rob, Connor, Rashawn, Wilson, Henderson, and McLaughlin. You sure have a lot of running backs. Okay, so where and when and how can we upgrade here, and who would you trade? You have a lot of running backs, but, it's a little more quantity over quality here. You really don't have an RB1.
Yeah. I'm getting a little nervous about Brian Robinson. He scored the last 2 games, so he's put up good fantasy outings, but his usage has not been very good. And Chris Rodriguez had almost as many carries as him yesterday. Like, only one less carry. It's like, what is going on? But he's putting up fantasy games, so people are still pretty high on him. I mean, maybe you could package. I mean, your only wide receivers are Jamar, Monroe, and Addison. That's it. Like, maybe you could package Henderson and Brian Robinson because look, Henderson has a lot of value right now. Always a good thing to trade a guy you just picked up off a waiver wire. Always good. What was that?
My dog is sneezing.
So maybe you could try, but I don't know if you're going to get a true RB1 for Henderson and Brian Robinson.
I like I said this with Foreman. Obviously, didn't have as big game. You know, somebody out there will probably trade for Darrell Henderson. So to trade him now. Kyron is going to come back eventually. I mean, nobody's trading for Connor right now.
Yeah.
Rashawn Wilson. I mean, I'm going to try to trade Madison. To me, he's just blah. And then Henderson. You can package those two for a decent number 2 running back at least. You're not going to get a high-end running back with those.
Right.
But I don't think you can get a high-end running back with your combination of players anyways.
Right.
I mean, unless there's a team, okay, that has a high-end running back that they're not thrilled with, like a Pollard, or maybe they're down on Bijan or whatever, and then just desperate RB2. Maybe you'll say, hey, here's Brian Robinson, Alexander Madison, and I'll throw in Darrell Henderson. They're like, oh, great. I'll take those 3 running backs and give you Bijan Robinson. Try something like that. All right, Timothy Beauchamp. Herbert, Etienne, Pollard, Kelsey, Hill, Chase, Flowers, Jason, Rice, Pierce. Yeah, hey, don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
Chase for T and JJ.
Well, I think that's Tay, Devontae. I think that's what people called Devontae Adams, Tay.
Oh, it's supposed to be Tay? I thought it was supposed to be T.
I mean,
I like
I
even
see
better.
people use Tay a lot for Devontae Adams. Yeah, I think you probably can do this. So now you'll have Hill, Devontae Adams, and then JJ coming back.
Yeah, I think you need to do this.
Yeah, I think you can definitely do this. I'm guessing you're saying, give me the trophy already, and you have a good team. So I'm guessing you're like 5-1. Well, wait, maybe after this week, you'll be 6-1. I don't know. You probably have a really strong record. So you can wait for JJ. Plus, you're getting Devontae Adams. Yeah, I think you do this.
Yeah, I think you can do this. Yeah, do it. Do it. All right, and then Jay Hughes in a 10-man PPR, got a great roster, stashed JT and Cup, that paid off. Would you drop Jeff Wilson to stash Elijah?
No, because look, Jeff Wilson got some run last night. First came back from IR. You got to remember, like, he wasn't going to play significant snaps. Plus, they couldn't really run the ball last night. They just could not run the ball. The Eagles' run defense is really good. So I would prefer to hold Jeff Wilson over Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah. Sorry, Elijah Mitchell. Nah, I'm not picking him up. I mean, that's all I can say. And then Sir Boomer has a message for angry fellow Bijan managers.
There you go.
He's going to send a message personally. Make sure he sits on his bench. Yeah. So this is the rage bench.
Rage benching. Rage benching, but only until Saturday night, and then Sunday morning it's like, okay, fine, I'll put you back in my lineup.
The rage bench. We'll see.
Okay, fine. Get back in my lineup.
All right. Let's see here. Python traded. Probably be Rob for London. No, I mean, that's not crazy.
I don't know who says that was crazy. Like, yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's pretty fair. It's pretty fair. I think people are a little high on Brian. Like I said, I think people are a little high on Brian Robinson right now because he scored touchdowns each of the last 2 weeks, but he really has not gotten a lot of volume. So you're really hoping, there's going to be a game here really, really soon where he doesn't score and suddenly people realize, oh, he's not getting a lot of volume, is he? So yeah, I don't think this is crazy. I think it's pretty fair, actually.
I'm trying to even figure out like crazy for which side. Okay, crazy you shouldn't have
Yeah.
sold Robinson, or crazy for getting London, or great.
Yeah. I don't know.
No,
That's a good point.
yeah, perspective. Perspective matters. Verdun has got 3 offers. All right. Give away Gibbs and Foreman to get
Yes.
either Swift or Pollard. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Either
Well,
one.
which one would you rather have, Swift or Pollard?
I think right now I got to lean slightly Swift just because that offensive line. But I think either one.
He did mention Mostert, but I'm going to
Nah.
assume we're going to put him last.
Nah.
Okay.
Mostert's, it feels like Mostert's time is coming to an end.
All right. So Swift or Pollard.
Yeah. Either one. Either one. Slightly prefer Swift, but if it's Pollard, I'll take that too.
Yeah, I think right now I slightly prefer Swift, but it's close. I mean, he's saying got 3, so I guess he has his pick, whichever one he accepts. It's a done deal. That's what I'm assuming. So, I mean, look, if you have a strong feeling either way for him, then, go with one of those guys. It's either Swift or Pollard. I think we both lean Swift right now, though. But yeah, you can do this. Foreman in a couple of weeks, nobody's going to be starting him. And then Gibbs might not be starting him either.
Right.
All right. We are for taking London. Somebody said you were crazy for taking London. Wow, London's actually been pretty good.
I know, right? London's been pretty good, actually.
All right.
All those people who rage dropped him after week 1.
Yeah. All right. Amy with a super chat. Welcome back. Grab Spears. Yes. If so, who to drop? London? No. Samuel Foreman, Rashawn Downs, or T Law?
Well, if T Law is a choice, is he your second QB?
I'm trying to remember because I know she's put her roster in.
I mean, if T Law is a choice, I'm assuming he's your second QB, because if he was your starter, you wouldn't be saying drop T Law. So if that's the case, I would drop T Law. I mean, look, it's not like T Law has been lighting the world on fire. No. I'm not gonna be sad if somebody adds Trevor Lawrence to their roster this week. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, you got T Law.
Yeah, just drop T Law. You don't need both of them. Drop T Law.
Yeah, that's fine. You don't need him. I mean, Tua's pretty much an every week start. You'll find. I mean, you can drop Curtis Samuel, but you could also might want to try to trade away Foreman while he's got value. This is a good time to sell high and see what you can get. All right, we have, 15 minutes, I think, until the game starts. You got last minute start sit questions. Let us know. And Python always with the smartest of comments. Get those underdog picks in time. And You know what? If you haven't tried underdog, I know some of you weren't with us at the very beginning and you may not know. So here's your public service announcement. If you haven't tried underdog, this is the perfect time. You use promo code ENDGAME, or there's a link down there in the description. You can just click it and it takes you right to where you want to go. Anything you put into deposit as a new customer, you get matched 100% up to $500. That's right. Double your money just for making an account. Not even kidding. And you don't have to put $500 or even $100. You can put as little as 20, right? Whatever you want to put in. But whatever you do put in, you get matched. And then new customer, you get that pick tonight's game. Still got a little bit of time. Brock Purdy just gets a yard. If he gets a yard, you take that higher on that pick. Then you basically get a free pick there. You combine it with any other pick. You get that pick right. You tripled your money. All right. So check that out. And they always have specials. But right now, if you take advantage of this window of time, you get the Brock Purdy special. I feel like Brock Purdy will have a pretty good game tonight.
I feel like he'll at least get a yard. I think he can at least get a yard.
I do feel, you know, what's funny. Didn't they at one point, somebody showed it, and there's just so many different ones they had a Bijan Robinson half yard thing. And it wasn't until the very end of the game where he didn't have a yard because he hadn't played. And then finally he did. He had that 1 yard, that one run is like 4 yards or something. So,
man, So he actually went. Well, I think he only got 3 yards, so he might have gone under.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wait, no, he only needed half a yard, huh? So he did get it on that last run. That's pretty
he
funny.
did get it, but
Well,
yeah,
remember week 1 on Monday Night Football, they did Aaron Rodgers hire, and he
Aaron
didn't get
Rodgers.
it because he tore his Achilles on the 4th snap and hadn't done anything yet and did not get it. But usually they get it. Almost every time they get it.
I'm hoping because they also, of course, don't just have football; they have every sport. So if I think I picked LeBron, there was a special LeBron gets a point, just 1 point.
Yeah.
So I decided to make one of those 5-pick things, to 20 times your money. So far I'm 4 out of 5. So if LeBron gets a point, I'm gonna win a decent amount of money.
Nice.
So I really hope he plays.
Why is he not going to play?
No, I just hope he doesn't not show up or
Isn't it the first game of the season or is it preseason?
I think it's still preseason.
So it could be because they did that in the preseason too with Anthony Richardson.
Yeah,
they did an Anthony Richardson one, and then he didn't play that game, but they refunded everybody at least.
Right. I mean, look, I'm not following preseason NBA too closely these days, but I'm assuming LeBron will get a point. Anyways, long story short, they got a lot of offers like this. So,
yes.
All right, let's do our last couple of questions. South Sea, drop Jeff Wilson for downs?
Probably. If you're deep at running back, you don't need Jeff Wilson. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't feel like you should be depending on Jeff Wilson to be a big fantasy asset. He's really just going to be depth, even if he does get in the mix,
Yeah.
What about David Mad Dog? That doesn't look like a mad dog. That actually looks like a sad panda. Trade Hurts for Laporta?
Yeah, I'm assuming Laporta and Collins. Oh, man.
Is that enough? I mean, you have Stroud. You're like, okay, Stroud is fine, but I don't know if this is enough.
I don't think so, honestly. I don't think so. I think it keep Hurts.
I mean, if you're looking to trade Hurts to upgrade because you're like, okay, I have Stroud, I'm fine with Stroud. I mean, if it was like Mark Andrews and Collins, I was like, okay, maybe. I mean, Travis Kelce, obviously nobody's trading Travis Kelce right now. Or if it was a more of a sure thing at wide receiver, I just feel like it's not quite enough.
Right.
Jack's asking Jack Henry, drop Foreman for Jaleel.
No, I don't know if I would do that. I don't think so. Not yet. Javonte got pretty heavily involved yesterday, so
he is looking better. I will admit that. He's looking better.
Yep.
Cubanito, drop Musgrave for Ferguson. I think you can do that.
Whatever.
Musgrave hasn't really done much.
But what has Ferguson done?
Well, he got you nothing this week.
Well, how much did he get the week before? I'm pretty sure it was close to nothing.
It was close to nothing, but I think he has a good matchup this coming week. He gets the Rams. I think it's fine. I would say yes. I'll go Ferguson, more target share.
I'll just say I feel like there's probably better options this week, but
he's not maybe the best option, but I would say you can do this. Now, another tight end question: Ferguson or Kincaid?
Definitely Kincaid. Definitely Kincaid. Kincaid might be safe for the rest of the season because Dawson Knox just had wrist surgery today. Definitely Kincaid. Like to the other question, drop Musgrave for Kincaid. Like if Kincaid is still on your waiver wire and you're looking at Musgrave or Ferguson, pick up Kincaid. I'll also say if Dalton Schultz is on your waiver wire, go pick up Dalton Schultz.
Yep. Yeah. We'll talk more in depth about Kincaid on a couple of videos this week, but I'd definitely go Kincaid here. And then, whoops. Okay. We can't get enough tight end questions. Isaac, Kincaid, Hill, or Mayer?
Our first Taysom Hill question of the week. And week 8 is underway officially with our Taysom Hill question. I'm still going Kincaid. Like they did say, Dennis Allen said he expects Jawan Jennings back this week just in time for everybody to go nuts grabbing Taysom Hill. I'm going.
Not like Jawan Johnson was doing anything beforehand, but I know there goes the Taysom Hill target share. So it's Kincaid. Now I feel like I invited this. So here's another tight end question. Kincaid or Laporta?
Still Laporta. Laporta every week in my lineup, no questions asked.
I think it still has to be Laporta. I wouldn't be surprised if before long it's close between these two, but I think we need to see more than just one game from Kincaid. Like I'm in on Kincaid now, but I'm not in over Laporta because we still have Laporta as a must start. So
Yeah.
I'm just not ready, just not mentally there yet. Okay, what about MN capital ZNR capital TR? That must mean something. Or maybe not. CD and Ridley for JJ. It's 6-0 and about to be 7-0. All right. Well, you're definitely working from a position of strength. Has Puka, Addison, Rice, and JSN. Obviously, CD and Ridley too. So, what do you think? So that means until JJ comes back, your starting receivers are Puka, Addison, and Rice.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, look, Rice, maybe Rice.
I think it's
Man.
doable. I mean, it's not a hard no.
It's not a hard no, but it's not like whereas normally I would say a hard yes, it's not a hard yes either because again, your wide receivers do take a big hit. I mean, yeah, you have Puka and JJ, but then you have Addison, Rice, and JSN behind them. Like, I mean, those guys are okay, but you really need Addison and or Rice to really become a week in, week out thing. I mean, if you want to, go for it. I don't think I don't have a strong opinion on this. You are 7-0. You can wait for JJ. Maybe you only start 2 wide receivers. Maybe that's why you're 7-0 because you have insane running backs and you just start all you've been starting is like CD and Puka or this week Puka and Ridley or something like that or whatever. So yeah, if this is something you want to do for your team, I don't think it's terrible. Go for it.
It's a risk because obviously you need JJ to come back in the minimum time. I think it's fine. Like if you only start 2 of these receivers on a regular basis, yeah, do it because you can start Puka and then you say, well, Addison, as long as JJ is out, Addison has value. Well, that's true. So I think you can do this. Yeah. Got a guessing, maybe an underdog question here. Jalen Osceola. Do you think Brock throws a pick tonight?
Probably not. It's the Vikings. I mean, he could be under a lot of pressure, so maybe, but I wouldn't. That wouldn't be one of my favorite bets tonight. I'll say that if that's what you're asking.
I'm gonna go no. Just looked at it. Vikings have 3 interceptions this season so far. Only the Titans have fewer. Vikings do not turn the ball over very often. Well, I mean, they turn it over on offense. They don't force turnovers very often because they're busy turning it over themselves. And I'm not worried about him, having pressure or anything coming from behind. Yeah. So I'm going to go no. All right. Kathy Weigel from High Low Photo and Video is back. Hey, Kathy. Oh, yeah, I remember she mentioned this yesterday. Lost, or maybe it was the day before. Tied this week. Got to go to fractional points.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, look. Again, I was as high as anybody on Foreman this week, but there's no way I was going to play Foreman over Bijan Robinson not in a million years.
You can't.
Unfortunately,
you can't bench Bijan. So,
but look, if you want to look on the bright side, if you want to look at the glass half full, even though this is less than half full, had Bijan not gotten that very late carry for 3 yards, you might not have tied. Although I don't know, maybe you don't have fractional, so maybe he got you 0, so maybe that didn't matter.
Hey, you could have lost by 1 point, and that would have made it worse. That's what you're saying. All right. What about this? John Plant, would you trade Jefferson for JT?
I mean, if you're desperate at running back and you're good at wide receiver and you need wins, sure. But if you're okay at running back, you don't need wins, I would just hold Jefferson.
Yeah, I think JT is not quite, top 5 for sure running back yet. I think he could get there. Again, only trade Jefferson if, you need an upgrade, not just
Right.
because you want to get something for him. So it does kind of depends on the rest of your roster here. No, this is not selling high. Trade Foreman for Warren. Warren is
No,
like a waiver wire
that is
pickup.
yeah, you can do better than Warren. I know Warren finally scored, but that's pretty much all he did yesterday.
But so did Najee.
Yeah, now he scored, but he did a lot more.
All right. One more. Let's do one more to find a nice tight end question. There we go. 369 Rye, Musgrave, Mayer, Everett, McBride, or Juwan. Who would you start this coming week?
Ah, jeez. Not Juwan. Not McBride. They're in a terrible spot.
Well, and Everett actually got injured with a quad. He left, so you can't start Everett. Even if he comes back, he's like touchdown or nothing.
I'm probably rolling with Musgrave out of these guys. Mayer did not build off his week 6.
Well, now it might depend. What is Jimmy G on the way back? Maybe.
Yeah, I think they said last week they expected him back this week. But it didn't even matter. It was still all Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams. They combined for like 25 targets. I think Michael Mayer had like 2 targets or 3 targets.
Yeah, it's because it's Brian Hoyer.
Well, he had his best game with Brian Hoyer 2 weeks ago. That was kind of the selling point on him, was it wasn't Jimmy G.
Yeah, well, good point.
I mean, look, Musgrave wasn't terrible, and the thing is, Musgrave I think got checked for another concussion because Kareem Jackson. I don't know what is it with this guy in concussions. Because Kareem Jackson once again launched headfirst into his face. Thankfully, the NFL finally suspended this guy for 4 games. This is his second time he's been ejected for this. His fourth penalty for this. Dude, this guy is terrible. At least Musgrave gives you points. He gets catches. He gives you points. I'm going Musgrave to me.
Well, looking at the matchups, I think it's Musgrave assuming he clears protocol, and I think he will. He's fine because he gets the Vikings, Mayer gets the Lions, and it's going to be Lions in Detroit. So definitely a better matchup. Go Musgrave.
And don't forget, Christian Watson may be out.
Yes, that too. Christian Watson, again, may be out. I think that's the best way to end on National Tight End Day, which was apparently invented by George Kittle. If you got George Kittle tonight, good luck. If you're going against George Kittle tonight, bad luck for him. Good luck to all you. Don't forget, on the way out, hit the like button. Thank you, Amy. We appreciate you. Hit subscribe and, of course, notifications. So that way, whenever we go live, which is pretty much every single day except Fridays, then you'll know as soon as we're live. All right. And then we'll see you guys tomorrow night for the waiver wire show. We'll be here nice long time to answer all your questions. All right. And then check out the start sit and everything else coming out this week as always. All right. Good luck.